All right, cool. So we're going to be reviewing Django cars and brands, just creating that nested CRUD application. We'll see how far we get into it. We probably won't complete everything, but we'll try to at least hit some of the CRUD functionality. So let's kind of get to it. So first thing, I'm going to fork it over. We've done this probably 100 times now. So that's going to take a hot second. All right, grab that URL and clone it down. So I'm going to go to my challenges, cd challenges, cd challenges, git clone, copy that down via the URL to clone it down, cd into Django cars and brands, cool. And then I could open up a code window. All right, so we're going to go, we don't have to create a project from scratch. I believe we have a project here, but maybe I'm speaking ahead of actually knowing. All right, so it looks like we have a requirements.txt. So this indicates I don't need to kind of install stuff manually, but it just has Django and CyclePG. It's an older version of Django. Just keep that in mind. So, okay, so we have our Django project. I think I heard some students talking about this, and I would kind of agree. The project is actually called app. That's kind of maybe confusing because the cars and brands folder is the actual app. That can get kind of annoying, especially with my naming conventions, but we'll deal with it because that's just what they provided for us. So given that this project already exists, I just need to kind of install it on my machine. So the first thing, as always, create a virtual environment. So python-m, venv, and venv. One thing I will mention that is a small requirement for the assessment is that you should accurately not commit your venv to your project. That is because Tom and myself, we need to clone down your projects. And if you have your venv in there, it's just going to be a longer download. We don't want to kind of deal with that. So, and also, you should not be submitting your virtual environments. So make sure you know how to properly git ignore. So the provided git ignore uses venv without the dot. Looks like I've modified mine, so I want to make sure I properly ignore my venv. Notice VS Code will kind of gray out your folder, meaning it's not part of your Git project. So that's one way you can visually know. All right, let's get into my virtual environment. .venv /bin/activate. All right, so I am in my virtual environment. That is great. And now that we have this requirements.txt, we could simply do a pip install -r requirements.txt. There we go. And that should just basically go through this file, pick out all the applications and the versions we want to download, and that should be done in a couple moments. Okay, should be done shortly. Great. Let's clear this. All right, so everything should be set up. Let's actually just try to run our server, make sure everything works. So I need to migrate the defaults Django migrations. So manage.py. Oh, I probably need to create a database too. That's I think I'm skipping some steps here. So go to my project folder with my settings. Let's take a look. So two things I usually want to verify. One, do we have the app name under installed apps? Yep, cars and brands. That is our app here. And then I want to go down to the database section and see what's going on here. So it looks like what we're provided with is we're using Postgres and a database called car app. So let me create that database. Again, I could change this if I want to. Like, I'm actually going to change it just because why not? I'm going to call it cars DB. So I'll do create DB. Obviously, I want to create a DB by that name. So cars DB is the database I'm going to create. Great. I got no error messages, so it looks like that was successful. Want to make sure that name matches, so we're good. Now I could run Python manage.py migrate. Again, these are the default Django migrations, nothing that I've created yet. Of course, I failed at doing that. So it looks like manage.py. Okay, so I have the nested folder set up here. So it looks like I need to go into my car app. That is my bad. Again, I don't usually like working with nested folders, but that is what we're dealing with here. So car app is the Django project folder, or the entire Django project. So here we'll do Python manage.py migrate. Hopefully this works. All right, there we go. So these are all the default Django migrations that wanted to be in our database. So again, this is going to contain stuff like the default user model, the permissions, the groups, anything that we might be using. There's tables for that got created. All right, let's do Python manage.py run server. And let's see if this runs or if there's some problem with it. Okay, so the default port again is 8000. Let me bring up a browser window. Do I have one up? Still have my site up here. So I'll go back here. All right, so again, you should see this. If you do not have any URLs that you edit, this is the default Django welcome page. Looks like we're up and running. So we got this rocket ship going. Let's journey on. All right, so going back to the README, let's make sure we know what we're doing. So a lot of steps here. We're going to create a nested CRUD app. Here's the recommended steps. So first, you want to working on your models, right? So your schema, models. I'm not sure why migrations come before models, but basically design all of your data first. And this is usually the way you want to approach it because you don't want to be modifying your data over and over. Again, you're going to run migrations multiple times. You might have some seed data that you need to update if you change your schema. So kind of just like take some time up front, make sure you get a proper design going instead of doing it later. All right, so let's go to our models file. So that's going to be in our app folder, again, which is cars and brands. Go to models, and let's create some models here. So we're basically creating a simple relationship between having brands, which are like you think about Ford or Kia or Honda. Those are brands, and then specific cars like the Honda Accord. The Accord is a type of car, or Kia Sorento, Ford Fusion. Those would be the type of cars. So given that, let's try to create some models. So I'm going to do class brand models.model. And then we assume we'll have a brand name. So we'll do a char field, models.char field, max length. I don't know, 64 seems good enough for me. What else can a brand have? Anyone have something I could add to my brand model?
Icon URL.
Okay. Icon URL. So will that just be a text field or a char field?
I guess a char field.
Okay, so just to kind of introduce it, it is a little involved. I know I was talking to Brandon earlier this week, but there is something called image field where you could actually store an image in your database. Unfortunately, this using image field is not as simple as it should be, but it is possible to kind of use image field. So I'll leave that as a maybe we can cover it at some point, but if not, just, you can Google it, read the documentation. I am interested in maybe trying to get it to work. So you know what? We got some time. I don't think we're gonna be pressed for time. So I'm gonna have image field here. We'll see if I fail miserably, and if so, I might need to change my models. But let's try to just get image field here. Again, this is kind of gonna be involved. We'll try not to get off track, but it'd be cool if we can kind of have an image with each of our brands. So we'll try that.
Yeah, is this gonna confuse us?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Fine. I'll keep it off then. Let's go with char field and find a URL off the web. That should work simple enough. That could be very long, so I don't even know what the limit might be. So let's go with that. All right. So we have a URL field. I'm gonna go with maybe a location.
Anchor that char field max length is not going to work. Max length is only 255 for char fields.
Is that right? I thought it goes beyond that.
I think if you need to use anything over 255, you need to use the text field.
Okay. I thought max length. Sorry, I just want to make sure I know. All right, cool. You are right. Max length 255. So hopefully we don't have a super long URL, but if we do, let's actually use a text field just in case, because some URLs can be really gross. Text field. All right, so that should let us be whatever. And then location. This would just be another char field. Actually, let's do year founded. We'll do some research. So year founded. So this would be a date field. Models.dates. All right, so I think that's enough for our brands. Let's go for our class car. Models.model. All right, so likely we want a car name, like a model name. I think model is probably more appropriate, but might confuse yourselves with this word model, so let's stick with car. But the make of a car, so models.model, models.char field. We'll go with 64 characters. Anyone else have something we could add for a particular car type?
Brand.
Yes.
Color.
You probably want to associate a brand. So that's something we could definitely put in here. So, or definitely should put in. So foreign key, again, this is going to be a relationship with our brand model. Can someone tell me the type of relationship between brand and car?
One to
One
many.
to many.
Yep, one to many. A single car can have at most, or we're going to have exactly one brand that it's associated with, right? You can't have, a Fusion model that's both a Ford and Chrysler like together. Like there's no joint partnerships usually. So yeah, a car is going to have one particular brand, but one brand can have multiple car models, right? So like Honda has the Accord, they have the CRV, they have there's some other Honda cars. I'm actually blanking. All right. Well, we'll go with brands. So the first item we want to pass in here is the actual model we want to point to. We do need a required on delete value, and this usually I always default to models.cascade. Again, if you remember from SQL week, cascade just meaning if you happen to drop this table from the database, it'll kind of remove the relationship with the car models automatically for you. If you do not want that, there's other options. Like you have a restrict, I think. This means you are not allowed to drop any associated tables. And there's a few other parameters, but we don't need to worry about them. Just know that there are other options, but cascade is usually what we go with. And then our optional field, but highly recommended field, is related name. This is how we can refer to this relationship from the reverse side. So here, if we have a car instance, we can simply call that car instance .brand, and that'll give us the brand details. However, if we have a brand and want to list all the cars associated with it, because it's the one to many, this related name field is how we would actually access it. Again, this is optional. If you do not provide a related name, there's a default Django naming convention where I believe it's like car set or something would be the field, the attribute you need to access. In this case, I'm going to call this cars. So I'm in the car model. The name is the model plural. Again, this is convention, not required. But this is basically saying I'm going to have an automatic field called cars for any brand instance that I can refer to. All right, so that's what this name is used for. What are some other fields I could add to the car model?
You could do a year.
Here, all right. Year, okay, so models. Trying to think. So this isn't a particular instance of a car, it's more of an instance of a model, but I guess there's a year where they started. All right, we could have type. This isn't required, but I'm going to jazz this up a little bit. Let's make a type model. Model is a model. So this is gonna be like, is it a sedan? Is it a SUV? Is it whatever? So this will be models.char field. So this is not going to be part of my CRUD operations, as in users are not going to be able to create their own car types. I'm going to have a preset list, and that's what this model is going to be used for. So again, we're going to pre-populate this one time, and we can do that through fixtures. But okay, so type would also be a foreign key, though. So we'll do type, and do the same thing here. And so same related name. So if given one type, let's say, I have car type of SUV, I should be able to call cars on a type instance and see every instance that was created for that type. All right, cool. I think that's good enough for now. So before I forget, because I usually do, let's create our str methods because we want to have some nice display for this. We'll do def str, and this is something that we do expect you guys to do so that we can have appropriate things to look at. Self. I'm not going to get too creative here, so it's to return the name of this brand. Oops, no $. This is Python. All right, type, sure. As we're kind of coding this up, any questions about creating models? You guys kind of fully understand how to use foreign keys. I guess we have not demonstrated a many-to-many relationship with this example. That is something we did cover earlier. You're not going to need to create a many-to-many relationship for your assessment, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't just throw it out of your head. Make sure you understand what a many-to-many relationship is used for, why you might need it for a given project, and kind of what it's also doing behind the scenes. So if you guys remember, for a many-to-many relationship in your database, there's got to be a join table. Now, you don't need a join model because Django kind of automatically does that for you if you need to. But behind the scenes, there is going to be a join table for a many-to-many relationship, which we do not have here.
Ankur, would you need for when you do the dunder string method, would you need self dot type or would just type work on that one?
Nope, you guys are correct. That was an accidental mistake, but it's good to see you guys kind of correcting these things. It makes me confident you guys are understanding all the particularities of Python
You
and
can need type name too.
type name. Yes, that is just a bad typo. All right, type name is what I called it. Thank you guys, appreciate it. And then we'll put that name here, and this will be our model. All right, so we got our string methods. I think my models look pretty good. We got our relationships down. I think this is good enough. I don't think I'm going to want to add anything later. So let's kind of do our steps. So I made my models. James Kelsey, what do I need to do next? So what should I do next likely?
I would start setting up my URLs probably.
Yeah, we could do URLs, but there's something I probably should do right now.
I'm sorry, you should probably go ahead and do make migrations and migrate.
That is the answer I was looking for, but again, you don't have to do it at this particular point. But yeah, eventually we need to do it. Might as well do it now since we just created our models. So do Python manage.py make migrations. Oops, I'm in the wrong directory again. See, this is why I don't like nested folders. I always forget to go into the nested folder. And then that just makes life a little bit tougher than it needs to be. So Python manage.py make migrations. Couldn't import Django. Oh, not in my virtual environments. You know what? I'm just gonna abandon this. Let's use this terminal. So I want to do make migrations. So I wasn't in my virtual environment before, so that was the issue. Okay, cool. So we got 3 models and add field type to car. Wait, what? All right, I don't know why this is here. Is type like a reserved keyword or something?
Yeah,
Anyway.
I think type is a keyword.
But not uppercase T and lowercase t is a function, I think.
Gotcha. I'm a little confused by why my migration summary said add field type to car, because I did all these steps together. But okay, I'm hoping that doesn't cause an issue, but if it does, maybe for naming choices, we'll do Python manage.py migrates and kick this out into the database. So this is actually going to create all those database tables for me if everything worked correctly. All right, I got that nice okay, so it looks like I'm good. Okay, so our database should be ready with our structures. Let's take a small detour and create a fixtures file. So again, this is stuff that I want in my database all the time. So I'm going to go to my app folder, which is cars and brands, create a new folder called fixtures. And this is a Django specific folder that we are creating, so it has to be named fixtures. Oops, that didn't get created. Fixtures. Inside of that, I'm going to create a new file and call it, let's call it brands.json. And then I'm going to create another fixture file. Why is this? Oh, that should not be nested in there. All right, so fixtures is directly under my app folder, cars and brands. Inside of that, creating a brands.json, I'm going to create another file, call it cars.json. All right, so I always forget the syntax. So 99% of the time, I always just go to the Django page for fixtures. So Django fixtures should be easy enough to find. Providing initial data for models. Yep, that is what I'm trying to do. I'm just going to copy this. Again, this is JSON formats. I don't always memorize the formats, so I'm just going to start with their example here. I guess,
Okay.
sorry. Question?
I have I have a quick question. We don't gotta go too deep in it if it's, so like I did this challenge and I'm trying to also just follow along with you for like the muscle memory. So like I like changed my model file to kind of match yours just for practice. And I'm having issues migrating. Like even if I make migrations, and do you know why that is? Like,
Likely. Are you willing to share your screen?
Yeah.
This is something that a lot of you guys will encounter, so it's good to kind of go over. So I'm gonna give up my screen share. My guess is that Daniel's running into the issue where he may have added a field and then he needs to kind of populate the database field. So let's take a look. Oh, no, we got some different errors here. Okay, so we got reverse accessor for car.brand clashes with reverse accessor for car type.
I think I had this exact error the other day, and I want to say it was because I copied and pasted, and instead of the, like, I think brand on line 18 and line 21, are those referring to different things? Shouldn't type refer to type on line 21?
Yep, I think that is the issue there. So we got basically two
yeah.
references to the same table. You are allowed to have foreign keys to the same table, but in this case, if it's at the same table, you can't have the same related name. So in that case, I was
Got
trying
it.
to create two relationships, but yep, good eyes there, Michael.
You have to fix the related name there too, right there on the type, I believe, right?
No, related name is
No.
fine. So related name is how the reverse side is going to access this collection. So both these are named cars, but they're in different tables essentially. So the brand model has a cars field and the type model has a cars field also. Cool. Okay, so the second error that the issue at the bottom is something that you likely will see. So anytime you add a field to an existing model, Django needs to know how to populate the database table for that new field for existing records. So the two options you have are either provide a default right now to kind of update any existing records. Obviously, we don't have any records right now, but if we did fill in that new field with a default value right now, or option two is to provide a default in your models, meaning anything that gets created now in the past or in the future will have a default value if one is not specified. So here, we could probably just do option one and put in, actually, I'm not sure if this will work. Because we need to put a foreign key to the type model, but the types don't exist right now. So Daniel, I'm gonna, can I request the screen back?
Yep.
Okay. So what Daniel might have to do here is what I'm about to do right now. And this is gonna be kind of out of order for what Daniel's dealing with. So Daniel, you might need to abort that operation for now. So in my fixtures, actually, sorry, I initially was creating brands and cars. I'm not gonna pre-populate those. What I am gonna pre-populate are car types, because again, these are like data types, or what am I trying to go for? They're types that need to exist for anything, even if I have no records. So here, I'm going to create some types. So this is gonna be not my app, but this is cars and brands is my app name. My model is going to be type. I wish I kind of named it car type or something now, but we'll live with it. All right, so the fields on the car type, simply there's type name. That's the only field I've created. And these are just gonna be different types of, automobiles that we can have. So we could have sedan. I think those are going out of style. Let me copy that. And now we can just create differences. So we could have, primary key 2 will be SUVs. Those are pretty popular. I'm making a comeback, I think. SUV. See a couple more in here. Any suggestions on what car types we could have? Minivan, maybe. It's a different type. Someone throw out a car type, please.
Sedan.
Convertible.
We got sedan. What was the other suggestion?
Sorry, my bad. Coupe.
Truck.
Truck
Wagon.
and coupe and that. Okay, great suggestions. Let's add those in there. So we get trucks. So that's probably a pickup truck. What else was there? I need to update my primary key. Don't forget that. Wagon, station wagons. Those are maybe making a comeback too, or a hatchback, whatever you want to call it. Let's call it hatchback. I think those are What's the actual difference between a station wagon and a hatchback? Does anyone know?
Man, you're breaking my heart. I think the actual difference really is just that overall style of the station wagon, where they have longer body and they're not really, they're just kind of meant more for utility, whereas hatchbacks are usually associated with more of a sport body models and then usually have better upgrades.
Gotcha. Good to know. All right, so I'm gonna go with
A
the
hatchback is just the type of back end it has. Anything that has that full rear lift gate is going to be considered a hatchback.
Gotcha. Good to know. All right, so I'm just gonna go with these five types. Hopefully they cover pretty much all of our cases, but we have sedan, SUV, minivan. I think coupe was one of them. I think coupe means 2 doors, right? It's supposed to 4 doors. I think if I remember that correctly. All right, let's just kind of get this up and going. So again, the reason I'm putting these in fixtures is because this table needs to exist. Even if no cars ever get added to my database, I need these types. I need this for my purposes. Need these types to exist. They're data types that can be used. So given that, all right, so I have my fixtures file. Again, this is JSON format. You'd also do it in YAML format. Again, I will always guide you back to the Django documentation. They can walk you through all the details, like YAML format. It's just a different way of writing your files. And then we can go on from there. So now that I've created my car types fixture, if I want to load that into my database, I'll do Python load manage.py load data, all one word, and then the data file I want to load. So in this case, car types.json. I think that's the syntax. All right, so notice installed 6 objects, meaning those 6 records should be in my database now. So let's get our admin panel going, just because I think the admin panel is the easiest way to kind of insert data if you want to. I'm going to do Python manage.py create super user. Again, this is going to be your admin user that you're going to use. So create super user, all one word. Hit enter. You're going to fill out this form. I'll go with admin, no email address, unsecure password. Oops, I don't really match apparently. All right, so Django is trying to protect you here, but in this case, I don't care about security, so I'll go with a bad password. Cool. All right, super user created successfully. Let's go to our admin panel and investigate what we have access to. Server is not running. Python manage.py run server. That should pick up our server. Great. Admin.
Hey, Ankur, you could have just added all that information in your admin panel, right? You didn't have to use the file.
Yes, but there's a slight difference. Brian Slusher, I want to check out those car types that I added, but I don't see an option for it here. Do you happen to know what maybe I need to do to get those car types accessible from my admin panel?
Yeah, you need to register your models with the admin panel.
Excellent. Yep. Glad you guys are kind of picking up all the steps again. You don't have to memorize all this, but again, it's good that you guys are familiar with it. So yep, I need to register it in my admin.py file. So from cars and brands.models, import. I really care about the type because that's what we added, but we can also add our brand and car model. Might as well, since we're at it. So here I need to do admin.site.register and then type. I believe there's a way to do all of these in one line. I've tried it and I forget the syntax, so let's do it on separate lines. You simply maybe just separate with a comma. I don't know. All right, so now that we register these models, this is basically allowing our admin panel to have access to these models. So given that, my server refreshes with that change. If I go here and refresh the page, voila, I got brands, cars, and types. Obviously, my brands and cars don't have anything relevant in them because I've not created any data, so 0 brands, that's what I expect. But if I go to types, notice these are the types that we added. This visual string is coming from the str method that we added. So type equals coupe, that is the way I wanted to show it. So that's why we can actually see it in our admin panel. All right, cool. So with that done, let's CRUD a couple items via our admin panel. And the difference between doing what I'm about to do through the admin panel versus fixtures is that if I commit this project to my GitHub and then, let's say Brian Slusher downloads it, anything I add to my database through the admin panel, it's just gonna be on my database. However, these fixture files that are created are permanently as a part of this project. So if Brian downloaded my project, he can run Python manage.py load data and the fixtures files, and he's gonna have the same data that I started off with in my database. So that is the benefit and the purpose of using fixtures, is so that you have consistent data that anyone can see your database with. Again, if I do it through the admin panel, that's adding it to my database, but my Django project has no notion that I've added this data. Zach, do you have a question?
With that being said, are we going to be utilizing fixtures in our assessment so you can see the data we've loaded in?
Good question. Let me get back to that. We'll get back to that later point when we're talking about the assessment, but thank you for bringing that up. That is something I do want to make sure we are all clear on.
Ankur, could I just continue on this fixture file? I might have missed a step and I'm not sure, but the actual JSON that you put in there, did you just copy that from like one of the examples and then pasted it in and then you changed it? Or is there a way that we can like have that like JSON auto-generated somehow from the model?
To your latter question, I'm not sure. There might be either some Django way to do it or some third-party tool that can kind of convert your models to JSON. For your first question, yes, I usually always just copy the JSON format they gave me because I don't always remember the exact syntax. I mean, it's not too difficult. You're creating an array with objects in it. And then each field needs to have string quotes around it. And again, it's pretty simple. I probably could create it by myself, but it's much easier for me to just kind of start with someone else's JSON template and modify it for my needs. So that's usually the way I do it. Again, however works best for you, definitely go for it.
That's awesome. Thank you. I think I might have just missed that real quick and I wasn't sure if you had generated. Thank you.
Sure. No problem. All right. So I have my types in here. Let's create a few brands and cars. So do we have any car owners out there?
Chevrolet.
Michael Robertson, I saw you raise your hand. Michael, what brand of car do you have?
I have an old Chevy Corvette. That's
So
a C5
Chevrolet.
Chevrolet.
Is that how you spell it?
1T.
1T. All right. Is this right? It looks wrong to me.
No, that's still not right. I don't know. You're asking the wrong person. I can't spell anything to save my life.
I'm not a
Chevrolet.
speller either, so we'll just have Google do it first. Chevrolet.
I always call it a Chevy.
Chevrolet. All right. So Chevrolet, no E at the end. All right. So Chevrolet icon URL. Let's go dig up a quick icon for Chevys. So Chevy logo. All right, that looks familiar. Let me just copy some random image. Hopefully they don't mind me taking their image. Copy the URL, so copy image address, and we'll throw that down here. Admin panel. Again, so there's that image field that I introduced earlier. Wow, this is quite long. And that's not actually the image I want. Sorry. Okay, so files here. Yeah, I don't know why my internet's super slow today. Okay, can I just grab a URL, please? Copy image address. All right, there we go. We got a JPEG there. That looks like what I want. Let's get this off my screen. I'll just have it up. All right, add brand. Let's get that URL. All right, much nicer. You're founded. Anyone know when Chevy was founded? We don't have to be accurate, but let's just try to be accurate for this one.
1911.
Thank you. 1911. So I guess this is asked for a date. Is there a way to just get a year field? Anyone know? All right, I'm not going to change my models now, but I probably should have had just a year here. Let's just pick something. So this is, what'd you say?
1911.
1911. All right, cool. So again, the days don't really matter here. I meant this for this to be a year field. I don't know if that's a thing. Anyone know? Is year field a thing? Django year field?
You should maybe just use an integer.
You'll feel, yeah, by itself, it's not a thing, unfortunately.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, just stick with date. Date doesn't matter too much. Wow, my computer is lagging. All right, so we got that. We're gonna hit save. Let's add a couple more. All right, we'll get back to the Chevy brand. Let's go create a couple more just for fun. Any other car owners out there?
Lincoln.
All right. Lincoln logo. All right, that looks familiar. Matthew McConaughey. It's a salesman for this or a pitch person. Salesman. All right, so let's grab that logo quickly. Okay, grab that. All right, I don't want to waste too much time on this finding images, but I'm just going to guess this was found in 1942. Probably wrong. Who cares? Will that accept a date as like that? I don't know. 0101? Sure. Hit save. Cool. Let's get one more brand in there. Anyone else want to pitch their car brand?
Mazda.
Mazda. Is their tagline still like zoom zoom or vroom vroom, whatever it was? Zoom zoom, I think. Or did they get rid of that?
Yeah, it's the same.
All right, Mazda. A nice logo here.
1920 is the year they were founded.
All right, wasting a little bit of time here. Let's get back to it.
And yes, G, I do drive a Miata.
What was that?
Oh, something from
What year?
1920.
1920. All right. They celebrate, I guess, their 100-year anniversary last year. That's kind of cool. So 0101. All right. Cool. We got 3 items. I keep hitting control save. I want to hit save that. All right. Let's go to our cars. Add a few cars in there. Let's add a car. Who was talking about Chevys? Michael Robertson. What model do you have?
Corvette.
Corvette. Nice. How do you spell that? Corvette. That.
Yeah, that's it.
Cool. What year is it?
97.
1997. I guess I might need a date, and then type. Corvette is a coupe. Is that correct? Or the best classification?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Cool. So we added that. Let's add who pitched the Lincoln car?
It's a MKZ.
Not a fan of Lincoln's naming. Like MKZ might sound cool, but I like actual names instead of letters. But that's Lincoln's deal, I guess. What year is it?
The 2010.
2010. All right, and then the type MKZ. That's a sedan. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, and then let's get a couple more in here. So Mazda, was that you, James?
Yeah.
What type is it?
MX5.
MX5?
Yep.
All right, so what year?
2016.
2016, 01. And then this sedan also, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's add a couple more so we have more than one per brand. So let's go with Chevy Silverado, I think is one. Silverado. Excuse my typos if I have any. Year, I have no idea. Let's just say this is 1999. Chevy Silverado. I don't know if they existed. That's a truck. Let's see if this year works, if I need a date or not. Nope. They will not let me just put a year. All right, let's get another Lincoln Navigator, I think is or was a type. Year, let's pretend this was a 2008 Navigator. It's also an SUV. Oh, that's an SUV. All right, cool. We have some data. So this is, again, this is not necessarily what, if we're creating a website, we don't need to pre-populate data. This is what our users will be doing. I'm just doing this so we have something to look at for our views. All right, cool. So we spent some time there. I feel like we are deserving of a break. So now that we have our data, we want to present that data via CRUD operations. So the first one we're going to do is read. We're just going to be displaying all our existing data if we have any. And then after that, we'll go to create an update, and then deleting is usually the last one I tackle to do like the hardest stuff in the middle. But with that, let's take a quick break. So it's 10:45 here. Let's take a 10-minute break. Let's be back at 10:50.